Chicken and rice soup is easy and delicious, although you could certainly make chicken and rice soup with store-bought rotisserie chicken, in which case you would skip this step. I like to make my chicken soup by first boiling some chicken. I like to use chicken leg quarters, but you could use pretty much any part of the chicken. I personally would not use the breast because I don't like how it tastes when it's boiled, but like I said, the recipe is pretty adaptable, pretty versatile. You can use what you want, what you have on hand. In this pot, I have 2 chicken leg quarters. I took off the skin and removed most of the fat. I usually plan on 1 chicken leg quarter. That's about half of a pound per chicken soup recipe, which would be these chicken leg quarter I have on the bottom. But I had this other chicken leg quarter that was smaller. It really wasn't big enough for anything else, so I said, you know, I'm just gonna add it to my soup. So I have 2 chicken leg quarters, and then I have some frozen homemade vegetable broth. I know I uploaded an easy vegetable broth recipe recently. I'll put a link in the description box. I like to make vegetable broth whenever my vegetables are starting to look a little sad, and then I freeze it so that I can make chicken soup whenever I want. I just put it in a bag, put it in the freezer, and when I am ready to make chicken soup, like right now, I just let it thaw for a few minutes and empty the bag into the pot. Now I'm going to add some water and turn on the heat to high, bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to turn down the heat to medium and let it boil for another 45, maybe 60 minutes. When it first comes to a boil, I'm going to skim some of the fat and impurities off. If you don't want to do that, that's totally fine, but that's something I like to do. So like I said, I'm going to add some water. I'm going to add more than this, but just to show you, I'm going to add some water, and I'll turn on the heat. The water is now boiling, and now I'm going to skim it. You can see there is some fat, some impurities on the surface. Just going to skim those off. I obviously added a lot more water. I would say probably 7 to 8 cups total. You just want to add enough to completely cover the chicken, whatever cut of chicken or whatever piece of chicken, whatever amount of chicken that you're using, you just want to be able to cover it totally. I'm now done skimming the chicken. I am going to let it cook for, like I said, 45 to 60 minutes. The chicken has now been boiling on medium heat for about an hour and 10 minutes. I'm going to turn off the heat and let it cool down for at least an hour, and then I will take the meat off the bone. As I just showed you, I boiled my chicken for a little over an hour. I let it cool, and then life happened, so I had to put it into the refrigerator, and now I am back to making my chicken and rice soup. As you can see, some of the fat has, I guess, congealed would be the right word, on the surface. I'm going to remove some of that to make it a little bit lighter. You don't want to remove all of the fat. That's why I am using dark meat. And you don't even have to do this if you don't want to, but I have been eating a lot of cake recently, so I am going to remove a little bit more fat. I just removed the chicken from the water. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the meat from the bone, and then I'm going to put it back into the soup. Even though I am going to put in some large chunks of meat, that's okay because over time, as this cooks down, the larger chunks will break apart into smaller pieces. And I actually like chicken soup with some pieces of chicken that are identifiable as chunks of meat. But if you want everything very finely shredded, you can definitely do that as well. As you can see, I finished taking the meat off the bone, and now I'm going to restart the cooking process. Here I have 2.5 large cloves of garlic and half of a large purple onion. Normally I would probably cut the onion a little more finely, but my eyes are starting to water. So I'm going to just add everything to the water, and then I'm going to turn the heat on to high to bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to start adding my other vegetables. The first vegetables that I'm going to add are going to be the carrots and the celery. I'm just going to show you how I cut them. I cut rounds off of the carrot like that, and then I stacked the rounds on top of each other and cut them this way, and then if they were small, that way, and then if they were bigger, like towards the end of the carrots, then I would cut them again. I try to get them all about the same size, but if some are a little bit bigger than others, that's fine. This is a rustic soup. And then with the celery, I just took pieces of the stalk and went like that. So that is about how much in terms of carrot and celery that I'm going to add. Add this now. I'm going to boil the carrot and celery. Honestly, it depends upon how well you like it done. I recommend between 20 and 30 minutes. I'm probably going to go closer to, I'd say 25, but we'll see. 5 minutes have passed, so now I'm going to add the next round of ingredients to my chicken and rice soup. I have half of a large red bell pepper. Add that. Honestly, I may add a little bit more because red bell peppers have been on sale, so I've been buying them just because I really like that red color and I like the sweetness. And I'm also going to add my rice. I'm using half of a cup of rice. It says on the package that 1/4 of a cup is 45 grams, so I just measured out 90 grams. I know it doesn't look like a ton of rice, but as this cooks down, the rice is going to absorb the water, and even though I'm probably going to end up adding a little bit of water at some point, the water is going to evaporate away, and it is actually going to fill out the soup more than you think it will. I also have some corn on the cob over here. This was frozen. I really like corn on the cob. I feel like for some reason, even when it's frozen, it tends to be sweeter than the frozen corn kernels you buy. So I microwave this for a total of 2.5 minutes, rotating as needed. It's not really cooked, I would say. I would say it's mostly defrosted. I'm just going to take my knife down the side, take off the kernels, and put those in about 5 minutes. It's been about 5 minutes since I added the rice and the red bell pepper. So now I'm going to add the corn. This said I was going to do. I'm just going to run my knife down the edge of the cob to take off the corn kernels. I would not say that these are cooked. Some of them are actually still kind of warm to the touch, or excuse me, kind of cold to the touch still, but that's okay. My goal is not to really cook them in the microwave. My goal is just to get them so that I could take them off of the cob. And now for a little more green. I'm going to add a few leaves of collard greens. Because I don't have a ton of time to boil them, I'm going to wrap them up like this, hold them together, whoa, and just cut them like this. I want to get them into small pieces so that they cook quickly. And I know when people think of collard greens, they think of boiling them forever with some smoked meat. And don't get me wrong, they are good like that, but collard greens, they're really versatile. I like them literally just steamed in the microwave. They're delicious. You can add them to soups. You can do so many things with collard greens. It's amazing. They're usually inexpensive, full of calcium. I think more people need to give collard greens a try. Now for a little bit more in terms of collard greens and some fresh purple onion, red onion, whichever term you want to use, because I think it's going to add some nice color. Now my chicken and rice soup is ready. Normally, once you add the rice, if you boil it on medium heat, it should be done in 20 minutes, maybe 22, 23, 25 max. But I realized that, I was boiling this on low. So to speed up the cooking process, I put it on high for about 7 minutes, and now it is back down to low. As you can see, it's full of vegetables, full of color, absolutely beautiful. But I still did not season it. I'm just going to add a bit of salt. I'm going to say this is half of a teaspoon. Whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to say that's half of a teaspoon. And see, that's why I did this off to the side of my hand, because if I would have done that over the soup, all of that salt would have gone into the soup. So that's why you measure things off to the side. I'm going to say half a teaspoon of salt. And in terms of black pepper, maybe somewhere between a quarter and half of a teaspoon as well. I honestly think this needs a bit more water. So I'm going to use the water to clean off my hand so that I don't miss any of the pepper. I'm going to stir. I'm going to turn off the heat. Once it cools down a bit, I am going to give it a try. But as you saw, I just added the salt and pepper now. One thing I learned from Argentine chefs is that usually it's best to wait until the end to add salt and things like that to your soup, because if you add salt and other spices to soup right when you start cooking it, when the water level is higher, you are seasoning the soup according to that water level. And as time goes on and as the water level goes down, that salt or pepper, oregano, crushed red pepper, whatever, is going to get more and more concentrated. So it's possible that by the time you eat this, it will be too salty when it was perfect an hour ago. So just a tip from Argentine chefs. And now I'm ready to finally serve my chicken and rice soup with vegetables. I've noticed the purple onion, it's best to add it right before serving or right before you turn off the heat if you want it to maintain its color. And like I said, even though it's going to have a bit more bite, I think just because of the color, it's worth it. But yeah, this soup looks amazing. Look at all those colors, look at all those vegetables, look at the rice. I'll let you see up close. ton of chicken in here. There's rice. And as this cools, the rice is going to plump up even more. So the soup that's left in here, the rice will become even more prominent or more pronounced, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But this bowl of, focus in a little bit closer, there we go. This bowl of chicken and rice soup looks absolutely incredible. And it tasted just as good. The combination of vegetables, chicken, and flavorful broth, along with the rice, made this soup one of the best I have ever made. If you are looking for a healthy chicken soup recipe, be sure to give this one a try. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.